A nice start to the day as far as the woodland behind me is concerned with the wildlife. Now for a cup of tea. I have cast out, by the way, but will I be back with a fish? Oh, now that looks like a little tap there, an inquiry. Not sure it's a bite just yet, but that's encouraging, isn't it? Again it went. Let's see if it develops. Not sure it is. I have put some brown crumb and corn out there, my usual approach. Fishing corn over that. No, it's not going any further, but great start in that sense because there's fish out there. Come on, Dilwyn. Come on, here's my dog. He wants to be in on the action. Come on, let's pick him up. Dilwyn, the Bedlington Terrier. Here he is. Well, that fishing session was another very, very tough one indeed. I always put them in blog posts. I don't just include the ones where I catch and catch well, but when I struggle, I also do a blog post. And I try to include a video. In fact, that's what I'm doing now, and I've been doing for a while, always to have some sort of footage as well with the blog post. So not just text, which is important, but also video as well. And of course, no fish at all on this occasion. I hooked into a tench, didn't I? And then I lost it, followed by a foul hooked carp, and that's all that remains of it. A scale that's 2 inches, 5 centimeters from one side to the other. So that was a decent fish. If I'd have hooked that fair and square, that would certainly have been a challenge on tench gear, wouldn't it? Especially as the lake is quite weedy at the moment. However, there were other anglers on there and they were struggling as well, which, as I said in my last video, helps us sometimes, doesn't it, to bring things into perspective. When I blog and I publish the posts on my website, I also have other things as well. It's not just fishing. And this afternoon, I watched Donald Trump versus Cyril Ramaphosa. Sounds like a boxing match, doesn't it? Well, it wasn't, and actually it didn't turn out to be as heated as I thought it might have been. The presidents of United States of America and South Africa, respectively, of course. I watched the one with Zelensky, and yes, there were other factors involved, no doubt about it, but I didn't think Donald Trump necessarily came out very good from that. Not from the content, but from perhaps the way he came over. I felt he was talking down to Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. But on this occasion, I thought he was excellent. He was very straight talking, but on a level rather than talking down. I thought Ramaphosa handled it all very well indeed, by the way. And when they were talking about the white farmers that have been persecuted and killed in many cases, I thought that Donald Trump's dim the lights and let's put some footage up of Julius Malema was excellent, and Ramaphosa looked very, very uncomfortable at that stage because this is happening. And it's been happening in South Africa for a long, long time. And when he said, well, it's just a fringe group, he's not part of the government, etc., to try to distance himself from it. As Donald Trump rightly pointed out, that was a big stadium. There were perhaps 100,000 people in that stadium. And if you don't follow South African politics, well, he was doing his usual kill the Boer chant. Boer is a Dutch word, not Afrikaans word, for farmer. But of course, it's come to associate with all white people, Afrikaans speakers especially, but all white people. So we know the message that's being given over there. And of course, it is being enacted. That's the reality of it. So I thought it was an excellent meeting between the two from the perspective of Donald Trump, the well, other world leaders will raise those issues, but as far as major nations are concerned, the only one that's addressing those very, very important issues. I followed politics for many, many years, and I can go back to the 1970s when I was following Rhodesian politics. Ian Smith declared UDI 1965. That I was alive then. I was born then. I was still very young, so I wasn't necessarily following politics as a 3-year-old. But certainly as the years went by, I followed it very, very intensely, especially with the Rhodesian Bush War, and then the Lancaster House Agreement, and Rhodesia became Zimbabwe, and the turmoil that followed on from there. And let's say as well, it's not just white people that are suffering in South Africa, and it wasn't just white people that were suffering in Rhodesia. But of course, oh no, he's going to be sick. Go on. That's a southern interlude there, isn't it? Come on, Till. Well, we're going to carry on. We'll carry on. But it's not just white people. So this isn't a case of sticking up for white people. It's a case of sticking up for all those who are oppressed. And Robert Mugabe, well, if you know even the minutest thing about politics, you know that he wasn't a good leader at all. The left despised him, the right despised him, and I think pretty much everybody else in between as well. But white Rhodesian farmers were persecuted. And it's interesting because here we are many, many years after independence, 45 to be precise, and white farmers are now being invited back into Zimbabwe. Slightly different terms and conditions compared to what was going on before, but nevertheless they've gone back and helping to rebuild that country. And if people like Donald Trump weren't standing up for what's going on at the moment and bringing this perhaps to the attention of folks who maybe don't know what's happening, then South Africa could well go the full extent of what happened in Rhodesia. In fact, it's already gone down that line somewhat. So this was an excellent meeting, I feel. And then to play that clip, as I said, the footage of Julius Malema and the way that he's going on. The president of South Africa, Ramaphosa, said, oh, he's not in the government. Yeah, but you're allowing this to happen in your country. This is a man who is openly calling for death of white people. And it's not just an anger thing, because all people say things in anger. Lucy Connell is in prison at the moment for 31 months. Her appeal was rejected this week because she said something in anger. No one thinks for one moment that she was going to do it, or even incite anyone else to do it, because all the newspapers have printed her tweet or Facebook message in full, because it was a social media post. They printed it in full. They wouldn't do that if they thought it was going to incite people. But what's happening in South Africa is that people are being murdered and killed. And it's not just whites as well. As I've said, I thought Donald Trump was excellent when he made that point. He wants peace. He wants to see people living at peace with each other. So I thoroughly enjoyed. I watched all of it. I watched all of the footage there live from the White House. And finally, in this blog post to wrap it up tonight, this evening, I'm going to watch Manchester United versus Tottenham Hotspur. And Dilwyn seems to have calmed down a little bit now. Don't go on the stage with children and animals. But he's behaved himself. He's very good. And I'm going to watch the European final this evening between the two English teams. So in this case, we can say ahead of the result that most definitely football is coming home.